YouTube, what's happening? It is Friday, May 24th. There are 15 MLB games to talk about today. But first, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, because if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on profits. I have had green days 9 out of the last 10 days, including yesterday where I went 6-4, but had plus 1.9 units. Day before, 2.7. Hell, in the last 7 days, almost 26.5 units of profit. It is amazing what the model's doing right now. It is dominating these games. There's only been one red day out of 10. Show me someone else who's doing that right now. I guarantee you can't find anybody unless they're saying they're dropping 40 units a game. We don't do that here. We do 1 unit per game, every game. I do a little bit higher volume than some. I'm not doing 4 or 5 games. I'm doing like 10 to 12-ish on average, but everyone has their own cup of tea. If you're taking my plays, I know you made money over the last 10 days. So with 15 games to talk about, it's going to be a decently long video, so let's go ahead and jump into the first game. All right, first game up, we got the Braves and the Pirates. Talk about a team that choked away a win yesterday. Pirates get the loss after the San Francisco Giants make a storming comeback. That plus 150 money line was great. I will take it any way I can get it. A win is a win in my book. In this game, the Braves are sending out a mystery pitcher, a ghost, if you will. We don't know who the hell's pitching for them. I can't find nothing online. I've seen rumors of somebody here, somebody there. Nothing. The books obviously know because there's a line, but we don't know yet. So we're going to pass on that. Pirates are sending out Falter at a 3.53. Betting odds, Braves are a 165 favorite, even though we don't know who's pitching for them. That's a fun one. Over under 9.5, over at 120. That tells us it's probably not going to be a good pitcher for the Braves, if I had to guess. Stats wise, Atlanta is 82.6% nerfy when they're on the road. Pittsburgh is 75 nerfy when they're at home, which gives you about a 62% chance. Don't really like that. We're going to pass. Runs a game, Atlanta and Pittsburgh are virtually the same, 21st and 29th at 4 and 4.2 runs a game. No real advantage there. Batting averages, they are the same, 18th and 19th. Atlanta's at 228, Pittsburgh's 227. They're the same team, no advantage. K's a game. Atlanta is not striking out as much as they were, but when they were dead last in the majors for a couple days, that you're still at 9.1 a game, which is 24th. However, Pittsburgh is now 29th at 10.8 a game. So they're swinging at everything and missing too. 11 Ks a game is a lot of Ks a game. When you only get 27 outs. Walks, Atlanta gets 2.5, which is 22nd. Pittsburgh 3.6, which is 6th. So you get an extra walk with Pittsburgh, but really, what's one extra walk going to do in the scheme of things? The main thing here is we don't know who's pitching for Atlanta. Nothing's been confirmed. I'm not going to re-record this, in the middle of the afternoon whenever we find out the pitcher. This is the morning. It's Friday morning. It's early Friday. We're going to send this out so people actually can get the picks for the rest of the games, because there's 15 games today. We've got so much other things to look at. With the stats being so close, that's concerning too. So I'm not going to lean a money line. I'm not going to lean a total. And since we have vagueness when it comes to pitching, we're going to pass on the entire game. Next game. All right, next up, we got the Blue Jays and the Tigers. I took the Tigers money line. The numbers said do it. The numbers lied. They did not back that up because Toronto came out and stomped yesterday. They stomped so much that they hit the over by themselves, which is fine because you take a Toronto over with a Detroit money line, they cancel out because they're 1 unit apiece. That's why we don't do 30-unit bombs around here. We do 1 unit on every game. So the numbers are the numbers. This is bankroll management at its finest here. So I might do a little bit higher volume, sure, but we're not dropping 15 units a game either. So Toronto, we got Manoah with his 3 ERA. He's pitching well. I used to celebrate days like today where we can come out and say, oh, it's Manoah pitching over all day. Dude's doing better, doing a lot better. I give him credit. Manning is a 4.88 for Detroit. Betting markets currently have the Blue Jays as a 120 favorite. The over-under 8.5 with a little bit of juice on the under. Looking at the statistics in this one, Toronto is 84% nerfy as the away team. Detroit is 83.3% nerfy as the home team. That gets you exactly 70% based on just statistics. You mix in some pitching as well. You see these numbers and you think, I don't know, I might take this. Manoah's pitching better. I just don't trust him. So I'm not going to do a nerfy in this one because Manoah, we know, can come out and pitch perfect game for 6 innings, or he might come out and give out 10 runs in 6 innings. We don't know what's going to happen. So too much uncertainty. We're going to pass on a nerfy. Stats wise, Toronto is 6 runs a game, which is 6th in the majors. Detroit is 3.6, which is 22nd. Detroit struggling. Decent advantage here for Toronto. Batting average is 271 for Toronto, puts him at 10th. Detroit is 234, puts them at 16th. So slight, about 35, 40, about 36 point bet for Toronto. Nice little advantage. K's a game. Toronto at 13th. So Detroit at 20th. They're a 1K difference. One's 7.6, one's 8.6. Walks a game. Toronto is 3.1. Detroit's 3.3. That's 13 to 10th. Not much of a difference there. So the main thing we're looking at, Toronto's offense is scoring more. They're batting a little bit better. They're striking out one less a game. And other than that, there's not much different. The thing we look at is pitching matchups here. Manoa 3. I just don't trust him. I can't do it. I see what they're favored. The bats here are doing pretty well. The runs there. So we're going to do it. We're going to take Blue Jays money line just because the bats are on fire. And Detroit's offense is terrible recently. They're 22nd at runs a game, but I think it's going to keep going down. Manoa might come out and just pitch a gem today because Detroit's offense has been so bad. So we're going to take Toronto money line 120. Over under, we're going to pass on because we don't know what we're going to get out of these pitchers, and we're going to move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got Seattle and Washington. We got Kirby to a 3.99 against Gore with a 3.30. Betting markets have the Mariners as a 150 favorite. Over under 7.5, a little bit of juice on the over. Stats-wise, Seattle is an 80.7% chance to Nerfy on the road. Washington is 85% chance to Nerfy at home. You mix them together, you get about a 68.6% Nerfy chance. That's going to be a pass for me. It's got to be higher than 70 with some, unless the pitching matchup is just pristine, which in this one is about average. So runs wise, Seattle's getting 3.5, which is good for 23rd, and they're batting 210, which is 23rd. So they're struggling. They're bottom 7 or bottom 8 in the majors right now in the past week. Washington is 4.4, which is 14th, and 247, which is 14th on their average, which is middle of the pack. So advantage Washington in both of these. Seattle is striking out 10.5 a game, which is 27th. Washington 8.6, which is 19th. Seattle is getting some walks, 3.5, which is 8th, and Washington's only getting 2 walks. The way the pitching matchups line up, the stats line up, it tells me to take Washington. I don't see why Seattle's favored because nothing here says that. The only thing Kirby's really better, his whip is better. Okay, that's great. His K to walk ratio is amazing. 54 to 5 is great. Love to see that. But Washington isn't, they're only striking out 8.6 a time. That's 19th best. Neither side screams take this, except I don't like how Washington's not favored. They're underdogs. They're at home. That really doesn't matter much in baseball too much. Over under 7.5 with both pitchers and both offenses. Well, Seattle's struggling offensively. Washington's not about middle of the road. I'm going to pass on this game. I can't, there's nothing that stands out and screams take this side because there's so many games that have something that stands out. Nothing in this game is standing out. So we're going to pass completely on this game and move on to the next one. Next up, we got Kansas City and Tampa Bay. We have Lugo with a 179 going up against Armstrong with a 403. Betting markets have the Royals as a 120 favorite on the road. Over under 8.5 with good bit of juice on the under in this one. Looking at the numbers, Kansas City is a 72.7% Nerfy when they're on the road. Tampa Bay is 72.4 when they're at home. You get a 52.6 when you multiply them together. That's just basic stats. Looking at the matchup, this is going to be a pass all day. Runs a game. Kansas City is on fire. They are getting 7.8 runs a game, which puts them second in the majors when it comes to runs. On batting, they are batting a mind-boggling 335 over the last week. That puts them number 1 in baseball. They're only striking out 6.4 times, which is also number 1 in baseball. And they're getting 2.6 walks, which is 20th, tied with Tampa of all teams at 2.6. Tampa is only getting 2.8. They're 27th in majors, and they're only batting 209. Kansas City is batting 1.124 better than Tampa Bay right now. That's how much of a difference of disparity we have here. Tampa Bay is also striking out 9.2, which is 25th. So we have a massive difference in stats here for Kansas City versus Tampa. Looking at the pitching matchup, we also have Lugo with a 1.79 ERA going up against Armstrong. Lugo, way better matchup on the stats with pitching, way better matchup with the stats when it comes to batting. Kansas City is the play all day in this one, minus 120. Might even sprinkle some on the run line because Lugo should be able to shut down this struggling offense, and the bats should be able to take care of Armstrong, who that 1.34 whip isn't looking good. So Royals money line, Royals run line. We're going to leave the over-under alone because the Rays might get shut down and move on to the next game. All right, next we got the Dodgers and the Reds. We got Paxton with his 2.84 going up against Ashcraft in his 4.25. Betting markets currently have the Dodgers as a 155 money line favorite. Over under 9.5, a little bit of juice on the over. Looking at some stats, the Dodgers hit the Nerfy 60.8% when they're on the road. Cincy 80 even as home. That puts you at 48 and pass all day. Runs a game is pretty miserable in this game. Dodgers are getting 3.2, which is 25th. Cincy is at 2.2, which is 29th. These teams are both bottom 5 in scoring. That looks beautiful for under 9.5. Batting average wise, Dodgers are batting 208, which is 26. Cincy is batting 164, which is 29th. Again, looking good for an under. K's a game. Dodgers aren't striking out that much. Only 7.8, which is middle of the road at 14th. Cincy is swinging and everything. 10.6, which is 28th. Dodgers 2.4 on walks. Cincy 3 on walks. That's 23 and 15th. All the numbers here, plus with some decent pitching going on here. We're taking the under 9.5. We got plus 100. I don't see how they get over those unless both teams break their streak and all of a sudden it's 7-6 final. It could happen, but the way both teams are doing right now in the past week, we're going to take the under in this one strictly based on numbers. Side-wise, nothing really stands out in this one. The only difference we had was Dodgers aren't striking out as much, and Dodgers look like they might have a better pitcher going out there. So, and we assume Dodgers have better talent. So, but it's not worth me taking 155. It's not even worth putting them in a money line parlay because I don't want the Reds come off and win tonight because they're the home team. We've seen that too many times. So we're going to pass on the money line on this one. We're going to take the under 9.5 and move on to the next game. All right, next up, we got the Brewers and the Red Sox. We got Wilson at a 279 going up against Crawford with a 217. Betting markets have the Red Sox as a 135 favorite on the money line, over under 9.5. Equal money on either side. Looking at some stats, Milwaukee is 67.8% Nerfy on the road. Boston is 56.5 at home. That gives you a 38.35%. We're going to pass on that all day. Milwaukee is 3.4 runs a game, which is 24th. Boston is 6.2, which is 5th. So we have a big advantage to Boston. Batting averages, Milwaukee is 208, which is 26th. Boston 241, which is 15th. That's 10 spots. That's an advantage for Boston. Milwaukee 7.2. That on strikeouts, I put them at 8th. And Boston is 9 at 23rd. Slight advantage for Milwaukee. And on walks, Milwaukee is 3.4. Boston's 2.4. 9th and 23rd. Advantage Milwaukee. So looking at the stats here, Boston has a slightly better pitcher. They both have the same whip, but he's got a better ERA with way more innings pitched. Boston has the stats here. They're scoring almost 3 runs a game more than Milwaukee is. They're batting 30.033 better than Milwaukee. So they're offensively, they're slightly bit better. I think Boston on the money line is a fair bet at 135. I wouldn't take them on the run line. On over under 9.5. I don't like either side here. With one team batting hot, the other one not batting hot at all. That tells me to stay away from both sides. So we're going to leave the over under alone and just take Boston on the money line. Next game. All right, next up, we got San Francisco and New York Mets. We got Harrison with a 3.60 going up against Scott with a 4.32. Currently on the betting markets, we have the Mets as a 145 favorite on the money line, over under 7.5, with a little bit of juice on the over. Statistics world, we have Giants at 80.7% towards the Nerfy as the away team. Mets are 87.5 Nerfy as the home team. That is a 70.67%. Typically, I would take that, but the team's bats are on fire. With the way the ERAs are 3.6 and 4.3, that worries me a little bit. But here's what really worries me: Giants are getting 8 runs a game. That is number one. They're still number one. They're still the hottest batting team in baseball. Casey's right with them now, but they've been the hottest team for about 4 or 5 days now. They're batting 323 still as a team, which is good for second. They're getting 4.4 walks a game, which is first. And they're 7.4 on strikeouts. So it means they're still 11th in the league in strikeouts. So their offense is on fire. We don't want to take a Nerfy when the offense is on fire. That's crazy. We're not trying to throw money away. Mets, on the other hand, are also pretty good. 5.2 runs a game. That is 8th. 283 average, which is 6th. Now, they're not getting walks. They only got 2 walks a game, which is 28th, and they're not getting strikeouts. They're 8.8, which is 21st. So clear advantages for San Francisco across the board, but not that big of an advantage where you go, whoa, whoa. But now I start questioning, why are the Mets favored? Because in this one, The Mets have the worst pitcher when it comes to statistics. The Mets are at home, but the statistics aren't lining up here. Yeah, the Giants played the Pirates, but nothing really standing out here. I'm getting the Giants, who are on fire. Again, this is the same logic I had yesterday and the day before and the day before. I get the Giants plus money on the road, and they're the best offense in baseball while they've been on the road. I'm going to ride that every time. So we're taking San Francisco money line plus 120 again and see what happens. We're going to play it till it loses. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So also over under wise, with both pitchers being decently high ERA, 7.5 is the number. I think with both offenses being good, I think we're going to take the over as well. So we're going to go over 7.5, San Francisco money line. Next game. All right, next game, we got Baltimore and the White Sox. We got Burns with a 2-4-1 going up against Flexen in a 5-4-8. Currently on the betting markets, we have the Orioles as a 275 favorite, over under 7.5 with a little bit of juice on the over. This game yesterday drove me nuts. This was my nerfy of the day. I put this on my short video. You probably saw it. I said, hey, 80% chance. Beautiful. What happens? White Sox pitcher goes out. Boom, boom, boom. 3 and out. Beautiful. What happens next? Orioles pitcher loads the bases. And what does he do? He walks in the nerfy. It was it was painful to watch. Just watching that 0 change on 1 on a walk of all things. Bro, come on. Anyway, moving on to today though. So we have stats wise, we have Baltimore at a 95.24% chance of the nerfy when they're on the road, which we are here. And we have White Sox at 80.0% chance of the nerfy when they're at home. We have Burns as a pretty good pitcher, Flexen not so much. Looking at the stats, Baltimore is 4.1, which is 20th batting on runs. White Sox are 3.1, which is 26 batting on runs. Baltimore is 225 average, which is 21st. Chicago's 213, which is 22nd, so they're about equal. Baltimore 6.6 strikeouts, which puts them at third. They're not striking out. White Sox are 10.1, which they're swinging a lot, which puts them at 26. Baltimore 3.1 on the walks. Chicago 3.6 on the walks, so a little bit of advantage Chicago on the walks. However, not much of an advantage anywhere else across the board. I'm going to take the nerfy again. The numbers are too good. Baltimore just does not get into away games the first inning, apparently. They struggle. I don't know why. Something about the environment. I don't know what it is, but anytime you have a team going 95.24% of their away games, and then they can't score a run the first inning, that's something to look at. So we're going to take the nerfy again and hope we don't get it walked in again. Stats wise, we are seeing 7.5 with these two teams struggling to score runs. Burns is a pretty decent pitcher. Flexen, I worry a little bit about Flexen, but as bad as Baltimore's doing right now, there's not doing that great. We're going to leave the over-under alone in this one. 275 is crazy. Just stats wise, the stats don't tell me Baltimore 275 better right now. Nothing's standing out here. So if anything, we're going to take the nerfy. We're going to leave the rest of the game alone and move on to the next one. Next up, we got the Rangers and the Twins. We got Arena with a 3-2-9 going up against Ober with a 4-4-0. Currently on the betting markets, we have the Twins at a 155, over under 8.5 with some juice on the over. Looking at some numbers, we have nerfy first. We got Texas at 57.6 on the nerfy on the road. Minnesota 59% at the home. That gives you 34% pass all day. Texas is batting run-wise. They're getting 2.4 runs, which is 28th. Minnesota 4.4, which is 14th. Batting average-wise, Texas is 203, which is 28th. Minnesota's getting a little bit better. They're trending upward, which is a good thing to see. They're 227, which is now 19th. They were 30th for a little bit, so they're moving up. Texas is 8.2 on strikeouts. Minnesota is 8th. They're 17th and 16th. And on walks, Texas is getting walks at 3.8. Minnesota is dead last at 1.6 walks a game. So they're not seeing the ball very well. Looking at the stats here and the numbers, Nerfy's going to be a pass, obviously. Moneyline side, I can see the Twins because Texas is struggling. 28th in runs, 28th in averages. But Minnesota is 14th in runs. I can see Minnesota being the favorite here. Over under 8.5 with these two pitchers. I think I'm going to pass on the over under because the offense is struggling. And anytime we got somebody struggling, we don't like the over. And we don't have, nobody is doing that well. If it's too terrible, we take the under. If it's two great teams, take the over. This is an average and a poor. That's a pass. Sidewise, I would take Minnesota money line. 155 is kind of really high on juice. One unit get what, half a unit back. I mean, I would probably I'm going to pass on this game altogether. I might throw Minnesota in a money line parlay, but outside of that, it's going to be a pass. Next game. Next up, we got the Cubs and the Cardinals. We got Shota with a .84 ERA going up against Mikolas with his 5.77. That's a matchup right there. Betting markets currently have the Cubs as a 145 favorite, over under 7.5, a little bit of juice on the over. Stats wise, we have the Cubs 80% on the Nerfy when they're on the road, St. Louis 78% Nerfy when they're at home. Runs wise, the Cubs are getting 1.8 runs a game over the last week. That puts them dead last in the majors at 30th. St. Louis is getting 4.8, which puts them at 12. So right there, advantage St. Louis, heavy advantage. That's a 3-run difference. Batting average wise, the Cubs are batting 1.40. They dropped from yesterday. Now they're 1.40. That is 30th as well. They are struggling hard to get hits. St. Louis, 2.53, puts them at 12th. So heavy advantage St. Louis. K's a game, 7.6, 7.8. They're equal. They're 12th and 14th. And 3.2 and 2.8 on walks, 12th and 17th. So nothing there. The main thing is Chicago's offense is dreary right now. It is atrocious. They got Mikolas today. My thoughts are either Mikolas is going to come out and pitch a gem and look like Cy Young himself, or he's going to come out and by tomorrow's updates, Chicago's averages are going to go up. So it's one of those weird ones. Mikolas at 1.4 whip scares me. That ERA scares me. But Shota is just, Shota's so good. Look at those numbers, so good. I just can't. Over under 7.5. I'm taking the under. Chicago's offense is just too terrible. Shota's too good, which means St. Louis offense should be terrible today. I would be amazed to see this one go over at all. So we're going to take the under 7.5. Sidewise, Shota's so good. He's not going to get any help, though. He might get a run. They're averaging 1.8. He might get 2 runs. But is 2 runs going to be enough for him? It might be. So, but I don't want to trust Shota on a 2-1 game or a 2-0 game or a 3-2 game. I don't like that. So we're taking the under. We're going to leave the side alone. And we're not taking a Nerfy because the percents are too low. It's 62.6. Not good enough. So under and move on to the next game. Next up, we got the Phillies and the Rockies. We got Sanchez in a 3-3-1 going up against Bloch, however you say it, at a 5-1-4. Currently, betting markets have the Phillies as a 225 favorite, over under 10.5 with some juice on the over in this one. Stats wise, we have Philly at 66.6 on the road as a Nerfy, Colorado 63.1 at home with a Nerfy. It's 42%. We pass on that. Philly is getting 7.2 runs a game, which is good for third. Colorado is 4.4, which is 14th. That's an advantage Philly, but both teams are batting Colorado's average. Philly's on fire. Batting average wise, Philly is 285, which is 5th. Colorado is 232, which is 17th. Again, average Colorado, on fire Philly. Philly only striking out 6.6, which is 2nd best. Colorado 8.8, which is 21st best. Big advantage Philly. And Philly is walking 4.2 times, which is 2nd. Colorado 2.8, which is 17th. And you got to remember, Colorado just played Oakland. So those stats are, you got to look at who played who. That's why I do a week. That's why I don't do the whole season, because we fluctuate. And I don't do the last 2 or 3 games because you might have had a good matchup. 7 days, you've had 2 series most likely. You've played at least 5 or 6 games, maybe 7 games. So we have a nice little data set to look at. Currently, Philly's on a 6-game winning streak. Colorado lost their last one. Looking at it, we're passing on the Nerfy. Over under 10.5. I'm leaning over. Philly is there. Colorado, supposedly, I saw it on Twitter yesterday. I saw that apparently, I did look it up myself. I'll admit that. Colorado has used up their bullpen pretty heavily to the point where they're going to struggle against Philly today because their bullpen's been used because of the extra inning game with Oakland. So Black might have to go longer than we expect him to, and even then we don't know who's going to come in afterwards. So we've got some tired arms in Colorado. So Philly for sure on the money line, obviously. Come on, all the numbers line up. Philly on the run line for sure, obviously. Again, Philly run line has been beautiful this week. I've hit that 3 or 4 times in a row now. Philly's dominating. So we're going to take Philly run line, we're going to take Philly run line, and we're going to take the over 10.5 because I think Philly is going to dominate this game, but I believe Colorado's at home. We know Colorado can score at home. over 10.5, Philly run line, Philly money line. Next game. All right, next up, we got Cleveland and the LA Angels. We have Allen with a 4.91 going up against Sandoval with a 4.59. Currently in the betting markets, we have a pick 'em on the money line. Pick a side, doesn't matter. On the total, we have 7.5, a little bit of juice on the over. Looking at some statistics, we have Cleveland as a 84.6% nerfy when they're on the road. Angels are 77.2 when they're at home. That gives you a 69.3. It's a pass from me. Runs wise, Cleveland is 4th in the majors this week at 6.4 runs a game. Angels are 14th at 4.4. Batting average wise, Cleveland is at 253 at 12th. Angels 210 at 23rd. 2 columns, 2 advantages for Cleveland. Strikeouts, Cleveland 7 even, which is 5th. Angels 7.2, which is 8th. No difference there. Cleveland is 2.8 in walks, and Angels are 3.6 in walks. So a little bit of advantage for Angels there. On this one, with the way the numbers are, the numbers clearly say to take Cleveland because of their statistics. They're 10 better in runs. They're 11 better in average. Pitching wise, they both are both are whips are 1-4 something. They both are 4.9 for Allen, 4.5 Sandoval. Pitching matches about equal really at this point in the game. Nothing really stands out here. The only thing stands out is Cleveland's getting 2 more runs a game and they're batting 43 points better. So I'm going to take Cleveland on the money line here at -110. Over under wise with both one team hot and one team average with 2 below average pitchers, I'm going to take the over 7.5 in this one as well. So over 7.5, Cleveland money line. Next game. All right, next up, we got Houston and Oakland. We got Verlander 3.79 against Stripling with a 5.19. Betting markets currently are showing Astros is a 175 favor, over under 8.5 with some juice on the under. Statistics wise, we have Houston's a 61.9% nerfy on the road. Oakland is a 92.3% nerfy when they're at home. Eventually, Baltimore will play at Oakland, and I will throw my bankroll on it. I might even go 2 units instead of 1. So this gives you a 57% nerfy. We're going to pass on this. Houston and Oakland are tied at 10th, both getting 5 runs a game. Houston's batting 276, which is 9th. Oakland's batting 272, which is right there with them. So no real separation there. Houston is only striking out 7.2 times, which is 8th. Oakland is swinging at nothing and missing everything as we expected. Oakland is 11.2 strikeouts a game, which is good for 30th. Houston is 3.8 walks a game. Oakland is 3 walks a game, which is 3rd and 15th. So we have Houston with some advantages when it comes to discipline, but we have equal when it comes to runs and strikeouts. So makes sense that the line is where it's at. Over under 8.5. I'm not feeling that one at all. Verlander could shut down Oakland quite easily. We know Verlander can do it. Oakland's bullpen should be wore out pretty good though. So same thing with Colorado. They used up all their bullpen people. So I saw this. Stripling might have to go longer than we expected. He might go 6-7 innings before somebody comes in, even if he's getting roughed up. So Houston money line again might be a good one. 175 though. You know, I might do something cheeky. I might do like a nice little Houston Philly 2-game money line just by itself, just based on this theory of the other team's pitching staffs are going to be so bad, and see if I can get close to even money on that one. So we might do that as well. Over under wise 8.5. I don't want to take that because I say that now I'm looking at it. I changed my mind. I am going to take that. Both teams at 5 runs a game, both teams batting 270 or higher. I'm going to take the over of 8.5 because I think Houston can get some runs on Oakland, and Verlander's been known to give up some bombs occasionally, and Oakland's hitting them. So we'll take the over 8.5 as well on this one. So recap: Oakland over 8.5 in this game. Houston on the money line with a little parlay with the Phillies, and move on to the next game. All right, next we got Miami and Arizona. We got Garrett with a 10.24 going up against Gallen with a 3.02. Now, given 10.4 is only over 9.2 innings, but still not good. Looking at the betting markets, we have the Diamondbacks at -200, over under 7.5, a little bit of juice on the over. Stats wise, Miami 77% nerfy on the road, Arizona 60% nerfy at home. That gives you about a 46%. We're going to pass. Miami is 4.4 runs a game. Arizona 5.2 runs a game. So Arizona is 8th, Miami 14th. Advantage Arizona, but not that big of an advantage. Miami's batting 265 is good for 11th. Arizona's 287, which is good for fourth. A little bit of advantage for Arizona. Again, not massive, but there is an advantage. Miami's batting better, only 7 strikeouts a game for fifth. Arizona is 8.2 for 17th, advantage Miami. And both teams are exactly tied at 2.4, which is 23rd. Looking at the stats here, I don't see how Arizona is a minus 200 off the get. I see the pitching matchups different. It's better. Gallen at 50 innings at 3 ERA with a 1.1 whip is pretty decent. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good. I don't know if it's 200 good, minus 200, maybe like a minus 140 good, but I mean, both teams are batting decently. Over under 7.5 with both teams batting well. We got an average team and a hot team. I'm going to take the over of a 7.5. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to leave the side alone. I don't really trust that minus 200, especially the way Miami's playing. And we're going to take the over in this one and move on to the last game. Our last game, we got the Yankees and the Padres. We got Rodon with a 3.27 against Yu Darvish with a 2.08. Batting markets have the Yankees as a slight favorite at 115, over under 7.5 with a little bit of juice on the under. Looking at the numbers, Yankees are 73% nerfy on the road, San Diego 80% nerfy at home. That gives you a 58% average on nerfy. That's a pass. Yankees are 7th in the majors with 5.33 runs a game. San Diego 4.67, which is 13th. Advantage the Yankees a little bit there. Yankees are batting 276, which is 7th. San Diego's batting 291, which is 3rd. So we have advantage San Diego. One of those weird circumstances where the team that's batting better isn't scoring as much as the team batting worse. Yankees are striking out 7.1, which is 7th. San Diego is 6.6, which is 3rd. So both top 7 in strikeouts. Yankees are walking 3.3. San Diego 2.1, which is 27th. Good advantage where the Yankees are getting on base more. Looking at the numbers here, I can see why to pick them. The thing I like here is Yu Darvish is pitching at 2.8, 47 innings, 46 to 13. Rodon's pretty good too. Don't get me wrong, but 1-2 whip is a little bit worrisome compared to a 0.9. 3.27 versus 2.08. Rodon's doing average. Yu's doing great compared to everyone else in the league right now. Looking at the numbers, I see both teams batting well. We have decent pitching. I don't really see a side that I want to take here. I'm not taking a nerfy, not taking a Yurfy. I'm not taking a side. Over under 7.5. Both teams are batting great, but we have really good pitching. I don't know what's going to happen here. Last game of the night is going to be a pass on everything. All right, that's it. All 15 games broken down. Drop a like, subscribe if you got to this point. Let me know what you think. Drop some comments. Let me know who you're playing today in case I missed something. I'm trying to make this model better. Give me some advice, some tweaks. I'm still working on the prop model where I can start giving out consistent props in every game, home run props, strikeout props consistently with some good data, not just looking at this data. I want better data, so we're working on that one. We got more games tomorrow. We'll see you then. Peace.